Today we are covering the Evils of Illmire. It is, for me, it's one of the best modules out there, and it's a lot more than a module. It is a setting. You could run it for months and months. It does every little bit of the heavy lifting you want it to do, and there's so much value in it. You don't just get a module, you get a lot more when you download it. So let's just jump straight in. Right, cool. So the Evils of Illmire, it's written by a gentleman called Zach Wolf. It's 76 pages long, and it is just fantastic. It is written for Old School Essentials, but let me jump across here, and this will be a bit of a teaser. This is what you get when you buy the module. Not just the module, you get desktop backgrounds, you get GM screens, handouts, everything, plus you also get conversions. There's a conversion for 5e, so if you're a 5e player, you can literally just run this super easily, no issue at all. Sharp swords and sinister spells, dungeon world, but also it's really easy to convert. So yeah, you can run it for whatever you do. I'm going to break down some of the stuff that the extras that you get when you download it, but yeah, like there's loads of stuff in there. So let's jump straight in. The back kind of story of this module is there is a nightmare cult in this town, or in these hexes in this village, and it's there's this extra dimensional being called the Fear Mother, who has given birth to these fear spawn creatures, and they basically take control of people's minds. They use mind phages, which are like parasitic worms, and they've infiltrated the village in which the players are thrown straight into. There is the thing I love is there's things here for players who want to fight, there's things here for players who want to investigate, and there's things here for players who want to role play. And it kind of like ticks, as well as kind of like exploring, so it ticks every box that you want from a module. So yeah, it's super cool, and there's this kind of like, they're not going to know who to trust, and it's interlinked with all the little bits in it are interlinked, which is really cool. To give you an idea of the sort of stuff that's been thought about here is the cultists have dumped a potion of fear into the town well. This gives the town folks supernatural nightmares and seething paranoia. So you immediately, this is going to be a tough place for the players to actually get through. But continued exposure to the quicksilver using the potions is causing terrible sickness. Now they give you a list of all the characters there. People are going to start dying in this village, which creates a natural ticking clock for your players, and if they're drinking the well, they're going to be getting infected by this as well. And they call it bald fever, as people go blind and lose fingernails. I mean, this isn't a module for the faint-hearted, but it's very cool. So when you start here, and this is an example of kind of all the things that have been thought about with this module, is it starts with adventure hooks, and the adventure hooks are really good. It gives you loads of ways to get your players and drag them into this. And I've written down here it does all the heavy lifting, and that when you get a module, that's one of the things you want to do. You don't want to have to prepare stuff, you don't want to have to rewrite stuff. It's because you're busy, you want to be able to read it first off and enjoy the reading, and then be able to look on the second read, do some highlights and just run it. And you can run this thing for months based on literally just doing that. Another thing I really like, there's general notes on how to run the module, which is really great. So it just helps you with things like kind of like holy water, or where that's available or how that's available, hexes and time to get across them, and encounter checks, gives you information on climbing and climbing events. So even here there's a mountain which you've got to climb, there's a climbing events table. There's just loads of really good helpful stuff in such a short place of time, or a short kind of like space. So here's an example of one of the things, and this is just a bonus. It doesn't make a big difference to the module, but it's a nice bit of flavour. Once per day, Esmeralda offers reader fortune. She stares deep into her crystal ball, chanting incantations when a swirling mist seems to manifest inside a normally clear crystal orb. Her eyes roll to the back of her head. She speaks in a strange, unnatural voice when she performs the ritual, and then she suddenly gets tired and needs to go to bed. That's just cool. It just is cool. Now, the only thing I can say, and this isn't against the module, because I would have done this if I was talented enough to write this module, is it pushes the edge of its format, because there is so much stuff in here. So things like, here's a climbing events table. Personally, I would love to see that in a table, because my brain would process it better. I can understand why they've done that, because they're limited to space and they've had to use the space as much as they can. But this isn't like a criticism in any way. It's just an example of kind of they've thought it out and they've squeezed so much in that there's been a couple of little sacrifices made, but they're not going to impact you on running it. So here is the map, right? It is absolutely amazing, right? If I can run in here a little bit better, right? It's just gorgeous. I mean, so cool. And there's obviously, with all the goodies you get, there's a players one which you can hand out to your players. And let me zoom out. I've done that wrong. Facing players there. And fifth page. Cool. Yeah. So yeah, it's really cool. Now, in the background of this, there's an observer. So an observer has a tower over here in Hex 2, and basically it's a powerful sorcerer that's just been messing with people here for ages. They're not the main villain of this piece, but they're there in the background, and it kind of gives an understanding why things have been messed up here so much. What I also love is this is not just about the fear cult and that there is a bunch of kind of subplots going on in the background that your players can get involved with. There's loads and loads of factions here. So if we look here, and these are just two that I've pulled out because I want to leave you to have the fun to actually explore this yourselves. But there's Mantis men here and there's frog men there. The Mantis men are formidable horde of Mantis men. They've built a huge mound. They regularly make forays to hunt and pillage neighbouring hexes. They've got a particular love for frogling meat. And the froglings are in this village, and they're tucked away, and they've basically been beaten down by the Mantis men. But there's loads of interaction you can have, and you can pick sides, and you can. It's really cool for player involvement. Another cool little add-on here is there's weather things. So again, it gives you, as I said, it gives you all the tools you need to actually make this a little bit more interesting. And in there, if you roll doubles, that there's smoke from the volcano, there's lightning storms, there's loads of cool stuff that you can. It just gives you that little bit of a help in you not having to do any work. So then, right, once you get past that, you get into the gazetteer. Now, as I say, right, what I really do like about this is the layout. I've been able to print out this one. I've had this one for a long time. Printed out. It's actually been improved since then, which is really cool that they keep adding things to this to make it a little bit better as you go along. So this is kind of like the layout. So there is an information on each hex. There's a big rundown of what's in there. Then there's a there where it would say which there's dungeons later on that are situated in that hex, and then there is a random encounter table for that particular hex. And the random encounter tables are not just 2 goblins; they are for the hex and also for the hexes around the impact, and everything is beautifully interlinked. Okay, so one of the things in this module, and it's a good thing and a bad thing, is things like here is it would be great to have a page number of where that is. Now, it's not in the module itself, but it is something that that Zach has actually listened to, and there's a GM screen there that has all of the page numbers in. I'd probably just write on the page numbers of where the actual dungeons were, but yeah, it has been improved a lot as you go through. So again, I'm not going to go into massive detail, but all right, let's jump into a couple of these things here so you can see kind of how good it is. Here's the froglings that we were speaking about. Here's the information on the hex. The language consists of croaks and ribbiting noises. The numbers have dwindled to repeated conflicts with the Mantis men. They'll attack anyone that seems aggressive. They'll befriend anyone that kills Mantis men or approach with gifts or shiny treasures. Immediately, again, heavy lifting done. You know what their reaction is going to be depending on what the player's actual work has been so far. They'll treat anyone who ends the threat of the Mantis as a hero, and they'll teach their heroes their tree climbing techniques, and they'll also teach them crafting skills, and they'll give them entrance to the Forbidden Oubliette. So there's actually almost like an extension to this that you can do. But this is kind of stuff that's been added, which is super cool. If we jump back to the folders here, you've got the Frogling handout. The players, you can just give that to the players, and they've got the ability to then start creating things like a bullfrog helm that they'll have to do a bit of work to do it, that can help them breathe underwater, which will help then open up different areas of this module. So again, just really well done. Give you another idea of how good these tables are. Here is just a random table for the Lost Crypts hex. In it, one of the things you can roll is cultists investigating the undead and collecting quicksilver. And again, that is relating back to the Quicksilver earlier on, and there's so much of this sprinkled through that you probably won't even get it the first few times you run it, but as you're actually, or the first few times you read it, but as you're running it, this stuff will become more and more obvious, and you'll discover it yourself in play. Here's the town, really, really cool image. Again, a lovely touch. Living souls. In the beginning of the campaign, display the handout for all the villagers that they meet. As time progresses, place those villagers in a separate pile called the pyre, and you can also add the PCs there. So this is almost like helping emphasize the ticking clock. And you have, where are the villagers? Here. You have these, and again, you can cut them out if you're running online. All these cool images of the villagers. And you're kind of building a pyre of people that are dying because of the NPCs inactions, which is really, really cool. So this is the general layout. Again, really good with this kind of like twofold layout, which I really like. Everything is, so if you go to any of these, this is how it kind of like looks on a page. You have the map and you have the all of the description there. So the layout is done really, really well. Everything that can possibly be done on two facing pages is done there. Yeah. And again, it makes things really easy. The cult has infiltrated the inn. The owner has been turned into a brain puppet with a mind phage worm. She goes about her normal business in a mindless malaise, mumbling answers to questions, bumping clumsily into things. Cult members now run the inn. They use it for profit and also for kidnapping travellers. It just, like, you know exactly what you're doing to run this module. Again, this is the defiled temple of the Luminous Star. It remains closed to the public for renovations. The front door is barred. 3 cultists disguised as temple guards patrol the courtyard at all times. The cultists use a secret entrance to and a hatch inside. So your players will immediately go, hold up, there's a temple in town and it's locked up. You know they're going to get into trouble there, but it gives you exactly how you're going to run this, and it will just unwrap really, really well. It also gives you a better breakdown of people like Rasidius the Defiler, who is the priest in the town, and he's obviously a member of the cult, but he's also, it's going to be really hard to convince villagers that he's evil, and it gives you kind of like the feedback that you need to understand how that's going to run as well. So I'm going to pop through, because there's 76 pages here. This gives you an idea of what you get with it. Everything twofolds, really cool maps from Dyson Logos, really well written. And remember, these hexes, you've also got random encounters when people are going into them from the Gazetteer already. So it's really just a brilliantly done module. There's an obsidian forge for lava dwarves, and there's just really cool characters throughout it, and they're not all tied to that central plot, which is really, really cool. Artwork is superb. It is just a fantastic module, and when I read it, it was everything I could do not to run it immediately. So there's extensions to the Underdark, and there's some maps in the actual extras that they give you if you want to extend the module. And there's a load of stuff on Dyson's logo for the Underdark that you could run that area for absolutely ever. The bestiary is here at the back, but again, you've got your conversions for the modules. So whether you're running it in 5e or whether you're running it in any of the other stuff, it doesn't really make any difference. And there's all of the treasures that are involved in it are at the back, and the treasures are really cool as well. It is just overall an amazing module. Now, I'm going to give you a quick show of some of the stuff you get with it. There's showing you the conversions. There's maps that have been broken down for you for all those areas, and this is literally just as it gets downloaded. There's some really, really cool character sheets. Like they're just cool character sheets. What else have we got in here? They've got the frogling handouts and stuff like that. This is the GM screen. It gives you everything you need to run the module behind a screen, if that's your style. It gives you your random tables, everything that you could it would just make it super easy to run. I just have that as a printout on my table. You've got loads and loads of handouts that you can give to your players, print out and give, or use them on a VTT. There's pregens here with artwork, which is super cool. There's just so much great stuff in here that I really, really love. There's a player's guide, something that you can print out and give to your players that gives them a breakdown of the town. It gives you items that they can barter for. Just how did I get here? Just cool stuff to, again, just does all the heavy lifting for you. So there's a link for this module below. It's an affiliate link, so I'll get pennies on it. It won't cost you anything. But yeah, it helps me get more modules to review here. If you're still here and you haven't subscribed, please do. There's loads of you that watch this. It makes a big difference to me. I do a happy dance every time someone does. And yeah, buy this module, man. It will make your weekend to just to read it. Never to mind run it, because running it will be awesome. So I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll catch you next week. Take care. Bye.